Hey, we're going to talk about what I wish I knew when I started my family tree. My name is Connie Knox, and we're going to start right now. All right, so let's get into this. So, 7 things I wish I knew when I started my family tree. And just to really kind of kick things off, I'm going to tell you what those are, and then we're going to dig into each one of them. So, the first one is importing trees from other members. Many of you are aware of that, but we're going to jump into that a little bit deeper. Number 2 is we're going to talk about online platforms. Number 3 is getting organized, which is a big topic for many of you. Number 4 is research notes. Number 5 is asking others. Number 6 is finding records. Number 7 is hidden clues and where to find them. And a couple bonus tips. All right, so let's jump into it. So let's start with number 1, importing trees from other member trees. So especially on Ancestry, you have the opportunity in your hints list to find other member trees, and for a lot of people they just automatically import them. Well, here's a couple tips that I'm suggesting and I wish I knew when I first started at Ancestry, because when I first started Ancestry, if you think about it, most of Ancestry, when they first launched, I think it was in 1982, it was mostly just family trees. And then they started adding records, right? Well, the family trees, a lot of people just automatically imported them. So here's some tips about what I'm talking about. So if you were to click on that hint for other member trees, it would look like this. And what I'm suggesting you do is you don't select all. So a lot of people hit that little checkbox mark right there and they hit select all. And they just go for it and import all that information and let's just move as fast as we can because we want to go back in our tree. No, I'm suggesting you don't do that, that you take a look at the sources and you dig into the details. So what we do want to do is take a look at this information a little bit closer. So over here is the owner of a different tree, and here is my tree on this side. So we want to compare the details, and in this case, it's showing some different information. I have Virginia. They have Wheeling, Ohio, West Virginia. We got 2 different states here. Clearly, there's some different information, and that's one of the reasons why we just don't want to jump in and, import that information. What I would suggest you do, the old saying from that movie, "Show me the money." Well, show me the sources. So here we have some sources, right? And we also have some records and some photos and some stories. So show me the proof, show me the records. And so I would, instead of just automatically importing this other member tree or the 10 other member trees that are listed in this list, which you can't see because I'm zoomed in, but all of those trees, if I just hit select all and imported all that stuff, oh my gosh, who knows what information I would import. So we want to stop for a minute. What I typically do is I will drill into this ancestor in their tree, and I would drill into the sources and the records, and I would drill into all of this to see exactly what they have going on. Again, show me the money, show me the records. So I want to see how it is that you know that. I'm always asking myself, Connie, how is it that I know that? Where's the source? So if I don't have the source linked in my facts column, then I want to have that information available. So anyway, let's move on. So number 2 is online research platforms. And so what I wish I knew when I first started was that all of these things would come about. Because when I first started, I started on Ancestry not too much longer after they opened their doors. But here's a timeline of when they did open their doors. Ancestry started in 1983, Google in 1998, right? And while Google isn't a genealogy platform, it kind of is, because we can find so much just by Googling things. But Ancestry was way ahead of Google even, which I thought was kind of interesting when I was doing this research. Family Search came along in 1999, MyHeritage in 2003, Genie came in 2006, Find My Past 2007, and WikiTree, which I'm starting to talk about more often. Came about in 2008. I find WikiTree to be an interesting platform. Okay, so online platforms, we're going to talk about those four: Ancestry, Family Search, and MyHeritage. So the online platforms all have these tree building capabilities. And why am I even talking about this? Because you really should be looking at all of them. And yeah, I realize that there's a paywall for some of these, but you really don't have to have a paywall at all of them. What I do is I have my main tree at Ancestry and I use the rest of them for research. I do have trees on them, but I only build out the branches of the trees that I'm actively researching so that I can get more hints and more clues specifically to the question at hand. So, all right, so collaborative tree or individual tree. So Ancestry, you have your own individual tree. Family Search is a collaborative tree. Everybody can change the tree. Everybody has the ability to edit, which causes some conflict amongst people sometimes. That's one of the reasons why I keep my tree at Ancestry and I use Family Search as tree for research. The thing that about Family Search is that it is free, which is very appealing to a lot of people, especially people who are just getting started, which is fine. But just know that other people can change the tree. Okay. MyHeritage is an individual tree. That is a company that's based out of Israel. They do have records. All three of these top ones have records. Ancestry has DNA and MyHeritage has DNA. Family Search does not. And Ancestry and MyHeritage are both subscription-based, but they do have free options. So just be knowledgeable of that. They both have guest accounts or free trials. And then Family Search, of course, is free. And then WikiTree is free too. They do not have records, though. They are a collaborative tree, just like Family Search, where anyone can go in and change it. What I find interesting about WikiTree is you have to prove it in a way. You have to come up with a source, an actual document that says this person is in this tree. In fact, when you add somebody, you have to have some sort of documentation that you can put it up. Unless you have personal knowledge, like that was my father, then I have personal knowledge. But you can't use personal knowledge for your great-great-grandfather because you didn't know your great-great-grandfather. So they only have sources. They do not have records. So that's one of the reasons why, is because everybody that's added to the tree has some sort of source information as to why they're there. So I just find WikiTree to be an interesting place. It's free to use. And so they do not have DNA, but it's an opportunity to find more information for free. Okay. So number 3 is organizing. So, especially if you're new to genealogy, one of the things you need to know is we're collecting all that information, right? We need to be documenting and analyzing this information. Now, a lot of times we have a lot of scraps of paper and little pieces and file folders and piles of stuff in our offices and whatever, and it gets a little crazy. So I wish I had known when I first started how to get organized. And because I was collecting all of those, even, at the library, when you get that little slip of paper and you write down the reference number to a specific something, I kept all that stuff. And so it got crazy. And so I'm a little more organized now. All right. So documenting and analyzing, sourcing where you found it. I wish when I first started genealogy, I wrote down the source of everything I found. And while if you're just importing stuff from Ancestry, you kind of have a source trail from where it came from. But I want the real source. I want the original source. And so that's something I wish I'd known as part of the organizational bucket. And I wish I had early on, I really did have this filing system started, and it has grown into a really fine organizing filing system. And so everything I now do is digitized and is put into proper organizational files on my computer. And then the great part about getting organized is being able to retrieve that stuff. So now you're on a mission. You're going, okay, what is this research question that I have? I'm laser focused on this research question. And now it's easy to go grab the records that are associated with that research question instead of going through spending your whole weekend digging through papers and boxes and file folders trying to find stuff. If you've got it digitized, it is super easy to find. So keeping your digital records and files organized, I keep them by surname. Within the surname folders, I keep them then by first name, and then sometimes I'll have family groups and such. But boy, when I'm in research mode, I have no problem finding what I'm looking for. All right, so the number 4 thing that I really wish I had started right from the start, I did start keeping research notes, but I didn't keep them in the way that I keep them now. And keeping research notes in chronological order is the key. So here is a simplified timeline of a fake person, John Doe. And so basically you start with birth and you just have some very brief notes. Now in this little graphic, I couldn't really put the source information in here, but I would also have a reference note, and I'll show you in a minute where the source came from. And then we have occupational information, some married information, some children who are listed. In this case, the 1870 census showed John Jane had 3 children, John, Joe, and Jane. How do you like that for John Doe and Jane Doe and Joe Doe? And then we have some death information. So, I mean, it's really all it's doing is taking that timeline and putting it into research notes. So the research notes are in chronological order, and what you can't really see very well here is the reference material at the bottom. So I would put a little reference note at the end of the paragraph. So each one of these starts with a date in bold and then some detail about it. And then the next item, date in bold, some information about it. And in some cases I'm transcribing. So here is a newspaper article that was transcribed. Here is a newspaper article that was transcribed, you know, just some other information that is brought in. And so keeping good research notes from the start is key. So I always say keeping good research notes is the number 1 way to resolve your genealogical problems. Why is that? It is because you will see details that you never saw before. You will see items and relationships between people, between ancestors, between neighbors. You will see details. You will suddenly have some aha moments when you start keeping detailed research notes. Now, do you keep them on every ancestor? No. No, you don't. You keep them on the key people that you're researching. I keep them on all of the direct ancestors that I am actively researching. You know, the tree just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you go back in time, right? So, I mean, keeping research notes sometimes for some people that haven't done a lot of research notes or a lot of research, they might be brief notes. They might be just a paragraph or 2. But the thing about research notes is they are living, breathing documents that you keep updating all the time. I do not upload my research notes to Ancestry. Why? Because the minute I do, that's a timestamp and it stops. And it's like I died. The research notes are done. That's as far as it's going to go. No, my research notes are constantly evolving. Every time I find a new record, every time a new hint comes along that really is a valuable hint and is really a new record, it gets added to my research notes and gets added to my Ancestry profile. And then I, do that whole analysis thing, and all of that information gets saved. And so my research notes do not get uploaded to Ancestry because they're constantly evolving. Okay, so here is just a quick screenshot of another set of research notes, a little bit closer view. And again, you can see they're in chronological order, more information. You can even put images in here. At the end of the paragraph, you can see there's a little, I know you can't see that, but there's a little reference number. And that reference number refers to here. At the Genealogy TV Academy, we're talking about how to do this kind of stuff in detail, but that's kind of it in a nutshell on the research notes. So the next thing, number 5, is asking others. And that is really kind of reaching out to family members and talking to them about the family history. Do this more quickly than you think you should. Don't wait until Christmas. Don't wait until, next fall when they're coming to town. Call them today. Pick up the phone and call them today. No, seriously, pick up the phone and call them today. Because you never know. They could be walking across the street and get run over by a bus. Things happen, right? So we need to be talking to our ancestors sooner than later. Not ancestors, our family members. We need to be talking to our family members sooner than later. And so contact other members on the platforms that you're on and see if they have more information than what's online. But before you do your homework. Go look at their trees. Don't just automatically email them because you can be annoying if they're going to turn around and tell you everything is online already. But, if they look promising and they like, this is a direct descendant from so-and-so that I'm investigating, then go ahead and reach out to them. These are members that I'm talking about are on Ancestry and Family Search and MyHeritage and so on. Contact the libraries in the areas in which you are researching, especially the county libraries. I can't say this enough. And don't forget about the state archives. The state archives are really there to preserve family history for historians and genealogists. Really. That's their number one focus, is really genealogy. So reach out to them. That's what they're there for. Number 6 is finding the records. So, and learning some of the good research strategies. Now, when I first started, I was all on paper. We didn't have personal computers. There wasn't anything online. I was going to the local national archives in Laguna Niguel, California, and going through the microfilm, the census microfilm, till you get dizzy watching those images scrolling by. But I found a lot of ancestors that way. And so, learning how to find the records is important in today's world for sure. And if you don't know where to find the records, I suggest you go to Family Search Wiki. And so at the Family Search Wiki, and yes, it's free, even if you are an Ancestry member and you've never been on Family Search before, the Family Search Wiki is the greatest place to go. If you're going, how am I going to find a marriage record for so-and-so in such and such a state at a such and such a time, right? So who is it, what is it, and where is it? Well, you're going to drill into the Family Search Wiki, and here, let me put that up for you. FamilySearch.org/wiki. You're going to drill in by location, and then you can start drilling into some of the record sets. And this is what it looks like. This little box here blown up. You can drill into Bible records and cemeteries and census records. And once you do, you drill into that, and it will tell you what and where to go. Like a lot of times it's hyperlinks right to where the records are. Now it will also show you if there's a paywall there, but I would still drill in and look and see, because a lot of times even if there's a paywall, there's an index there where you can see if the record looks promising and is worth your investment. Okay, number 7 is hidden clues. Where are the hidden clues? Well, the reality is that they are in the document details. So as you start to dig into the records, it's in the details where you're going to find and discover the little things that you didn't notice before. When you skim through the record, you're going to find those record details. So transcribing documents is highly important. And a lot of people go, oh God, I don't want to type up every word. I'm telling you, if you're stuck on a line in your family tree, I would take every document that you found and I would transcribe every bit of it, and then I would abstract every bit of it into your research notes. So abstracting those those details. So basically what you're doing is you're taking the transcription of the document, let's say it's a will, and then you remove all the boilerplate stuff, which leaves you the abstract. And all that abstract stuff goes into your research notes with a source citation as to where you found it. I also recommend that you put a cover sheet on any physical documents that you have. In fact, I do them on my digital documents as well that I save to my files in my computer. And so I did a whole episode on how to transcribe an abstract, and I did a separate one on cover sheets for your documents. I will leave links in the description box for those two videos. Okay, so some bonus tips, some research strategies. So one of the things that you want to do is take a look at the family correlation from record to record to see how they line up. You want to correlate the fan club, which is the friends, associates, and neighbors. So you're not only correlating the family, the spouses, the children, the parents, the in-laws, right? But you're correlating those friends, associates, and neighbors. Because why? Because especially the neighbors, if you're looking at census records from one census record to another, and you're trying to determine if you're going from 1850 to 1840, and you're trying to determine, because the relationships of the family are gone, look to the neighbors, because the neighbors may still be the same people 10 years earlier. And if the neighbors are the same or within a few houses of each other and they're kind of lining up, then you have the right record. Okay. Research and record finding strategies are getting beyond the hints. So you have those leafy hints. That's great. That's the low hanging fruit, but it's probably only, 10 to 25% of what's available out there. Learn how to use the card catalog to find records and get outside the box. And by that, I mean get outside the platform that you are on and learn how to research on other platforms, even if they are just free accounts, because you will start to discover other member trees that may have already imported the records or may have uploaded them themselves. And so you can get outside the box and go find records for free on other platforms. And lastly, I would suggest using DNA. So I highly recommend that, but that is a personal choice. And if you are going to have a DNA test taken, be aware there may be surprises in your family. And so just be mindful of that, because some people didn't even occur to them. And all of a sudden they realize they have a half brother that they never knew about or something. And so just be aware. Okay, so here's my other bonus tip, is to work backwards, especially if you're new at this. Not only are you working backwards, starting with yourself and working to your parents, your grandparents, and so on, generation after generation, but you're working backwards in an ancestor's lifetime. So if you're talking about your grandfather and you are working on his genealogy, you are starting with death, working to marriage, working to birth, and everything in between, but you're trying to work backwards. Why do we do this? Because there's more information in the death records than there is in the birth records. So as we are learning about an ancestor, let's say we find an obituary, a death record, right? An obituary that names all the spouses and the children and blah, blah, blah. And then we also look at maybe a death certificate, which names the informants and people that are related to the person who died. And so that helps give us a foundation for which we can start working backwards through the census records. And then we can say, oh, okay, here are the children that were mentioned in the obituary, and here, and so you're working backwards, okay? Don't automatically import from others. We talked about that before. Verify the records before importing. Verify with the family and verify with DNA. So hopefully that gave you some information. So my question for you is, do you have the skills to break down these brick walls? Do you have the skills needed to take you back generation after generation? And so if you want to learn more, you can always join me on the YouTube channel. It is free for you to view all of the videos. There's, at this recording, 290 episodes available, and on a variety of subjects. And then, of course, that is on YouTube. And then there is the genealogytv.org website, where it's kind of a housing place for everything to find in one place. And then there is the Genealogy TV Academy, which I launched in March of 2022. And so it is, as of this recording, still fairly new. And so there are a couple different components about it. I'm very proud of it. It is doing quite well. I'm very pleased with the reaction from the students and how much they seem to be enjoying it. So it is 100% virtual. It is self-guided courses. There's self-guided courses on the platform now that you can take at your leisure and work your way through them on your own pace. And then there is the live classroom, which are Zoom calls, where we get on Zoom calls and we talk about different subjects. So it's a new lesson every month, and that has the monthly membership. Basically, you get everything in one membership, okay? But it is a monthly membership. It comes with a ton of handouts and worksheets. And there is the Genealogy TV Insiders Facebook group, which you would be invited to. That is a private group. You cannot find it on Facebook. So you have to be a member in order to belong to that. And then there is the video and live sessions library. So all of the sessions that we do live are recorded, and those are uploaded as a third course, basically, in the system. So the first course that's up there is for beginners. It's called Getting Started in Genealogy. And again, that's the self-guided course. The other self-guided course is more Smart Research. And that is really a deep dive into how to do research, and is aimed at pretty much mainstream genealogist, the hobbyist, but is, beyond the basics. And it goes into a lot of different subjects as far as proper research. Here's a quick look at what it looks like behind the scenes. This is part of the Smart Research course. There is a navigation bar on the side where you have lessons, 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 lessons. And then within each lesson, there are topics. In this case, I've opened up lesson number 2, and we are viewing the second topic within here. And so this is kind of what it looks like. You've got a progress bar. You can mark things, the lessons completed, not the topics. But as you complete each lesson, you go through all the topics, then you would mark it complete, and it would show up on the progress bar as having been completed. So class meets on the first Wednesday of each month at 3 p.m. Eastern. That is the standard time that we meet, unless there is some problem and we're going to have to move it. But for the most part, this is the schedule every month, and then all sessions are recorded. There is a Q&A session in addition to, it's a separate session on the third Wednesday of the month. This is where we just get together and ask questions. There is no presentation involved with that one. So if you have questions, this is the place to come and ask questions. Again, all sessions are recorded and available later on. So the next meeting at the Genealogy TV Academy is next week, and it is about the proper process of research. And that is on August 3rd at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you want to get involved, you can sign up now. I am just this weekend giving a discount associated with this video. It is 40% off, which makes it $35.50 a month for the continuous lifetime subscription. So as long as you stay a member, you will get that $34.50 a month rate. And so again, that is, you have access to everything. One price fits all, and you get access to the online virtual courses, the Genealogy Insider Facebook group, all the recorded sessions, access to the live classroom on Zoom, and yours truly will be there to answer questions on the Q&A. So basically every couple of weeks we're getting together and talking genealogy, and so it's a lot of fun. So if you want to learn a little bit more, you can go to genealogytv.org/academy, and I hope to see you there.